Hi everybody, sorry for my absence on YouTube recently. I've been rather busy doing a lot of other things. I have been knife making, of course that has to continue because it is my biggest earner, the way I make my living. But yeah, I wonder if you've missed me. I've been gone off of the channel now for probably a couple of months or more. So I wonder if you've missed me. No? How rude. Anyway, I'm sure some of you have. Anyway, I finished a batch of 3 classics. I'm working at the moment on high carbon O1 tool steel knives, very basic bushcrafters, the classic. And I've managed to finish 3 of them. Let me just show you those. So there you are. 3 very beautiful, if I say so myself, classic knives. One of the reasons why I've toned down the amount that I'm putting up on the YouTube is because simply it generates far too much demand, far too much interest in my work, which I'm very grateful for, I have to say, but there's a flip side to it, and I get lots of emails, lots of just generates too much interest, and it's only me, and I can't keep up with it. I simply can't, because I've got a life that I want to live as well, and it's just really, my knife making really is just a very small, tiny cottage industry, you know. I haven't got any helpers. I do everything, and that means that I'm only producing a tiny amount of knives. Some weeks I don't finish I won't finish a knife because of the other things that I'm doing in my life, plus the process of building them by hand is just so laborious, and I think everyone gets the impression that they can just go and get a knife off of Jack Law or whatever, but I think you'll find that many makers, especially when they're getting on a bit, you know, you don't want to be nose to the grindstone all the time. You want to, well, I know I want to step back from it a little bit, and I want to enjoy my work. And I find that if I'm in that workshop slaving away, having to feel that I got to keep up with demand, I'm afraid that it would just destroy any enjoyment or pleasure I get from my work. So I have to produce them the way I do, in small numbers. So I am in my 60s now. I've got no intentions of ever retiring, but I think I am slowing down a little bit. So anyway, 3 knives. Let me show you these. They all come in veg tan right hand belt sheaths. No danglers on these. Just good, honest belt sheath. This is knife number 1. So there it is. Knife number 1. O1 high carbon steel blade, triple tempered. And these came out at about 59.5 HRC. Lovely American walnut, which I've stabilised. All the knives have tapered tangs. You can see a taper on the tang there. So what I've done, I've tapered it from the 4mm thickness on the spine there down to, probably in this case, about 1.5mm I should say. The tapers do vary slightly because they are, as I say, handmade, and so you will get slight variations, but not much. Quad mosaic pins. There. So that's knife number 1. Knife number 2. So same again. The only difference will be in the wood really, because that's quite natural how the grain and figure in the wood forms. So knife number 2, exactly the same, 59.5 or thereabouts, HRC, triple tempered. Black G10, I didn't mention it in the previous one, the black G10 liners. I fitted black G10 liners to these. The reason being that I feel that it gives it better contrast between the actual tang of the knife and the handle, and you can see that tapered tang a bit better. So that's knife number 2. Now to number 3. So there you go, same again. So here's knife number 3. The American walnut stabilised quite nicely. It's a tricky wood to stabilise actually. It needs a lot of time in the resin to get it to soak in. I think you can see some of the grain there with the light. When the light hits it at the right angle, it picks the grain out. So there you go. 3, I think, quite beautiful classic bushcraft knives, and I'd be happy with any one of them. I find that producing the knives in smaller quantities like this, you know, without having to have pressure, it's the only way I can operate. I don't operate under pressure. I can't do it, and one of the reasons for becoming a bit self-employed like this is to sort of have some control over my life, how I live my life. And for those of you that are new to the channel, you know, I do have a few health issues going on, and that also limits the amount of time that I can give large amounts of attention to, because when you're making knives, it's not like a normal job where you can perhaps do certain tasks and not have to think or be concentrating very highly. On knife making, everything you do during the process of making that knife and making that sheath requires quite a high level of concentration, and if that lapses, then you start making mistakes. So it's pretty much hands and eyes on the job all the time when you're working. And that's tiring as well, and I find that quite tiring, so it limits my output. So there you go, 3 knives. Just one thing, I'm not currently sending my knives overseas. The simple reason that the laws, when we did this Brexit thing in the UK, it changed the laws a little bit and made it really awkward to send knives to the EU. And the second thing is that I've never lost a knife on internal postings within the UK, but I've now lost several over the years on overseas postings, and several have actually gone missing for long amounts of time, only to turn up some months later. And I've used various different companies, including UPS, and I've paid lots of money for the overseas shipping, and I'm not prepared to take that risk at the moment to post my knives anywhere overseas. So these knives are only available to UK customers. I'm very sorry for that, but as I say, when I have lost the knives, I've spent an inordinate amount of time trying to chase them up to see where they are. I've never been successful in in managing to get them returned or get them found, and I've never had any compensation. They make you jump through the hoops so many times that you just end up talking to robots and AI programs online. So no more overseas postings for the time being. My dog's just joined me. Carmen, I took her out recently. My big dog Carmen, I took her out recently, and we got soaked in the rain, you know. And when you put certain things in the akin to the wash, when you put certain things in the washing machine, they can shrink. Well, I can't believe it. When I came back from my walk, my dog Carmen has shrunk. Look at her now. Look. Not only had she shrunk, she'd also changed sex. Because isn't it a weird world we live in? Quite strange. Actually, that's my brother's dog. He's away on holiday at the moment. We're looking after him. Carmen, she's here. She's here. Aren't you, sweetheart? Hey? You're here, aren't you? Yeah. Good girl. Good girl. Yes, so just a little update. Those 3 knives, 1 has sold and 2 are available. So I'll be putting them on the website later on today. And hopefully someone that hasn't already got one of my knives will get it. I've got some wonderful customers that have bought several of my knives, and I really am appreciative and thankful. Some wonderful people. I've been very fortunate and blessed, I think, really, with the customer base that I've got. But if someone that hasn't got one of my knives already but really wants one, then obviously I'd like that to go to that person. So anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.